Hey everyone, Tordug here once again. I wanted to go over the Farthest Frontier patch notes for patch 9.2, which is now alive and well, and pretty packed. It's a very short list, but it's, well, comparatively speaking, and it's a massive impact. There's a lot going on. So I have fired it up in Old Town. I've started to get most of the new things built and in so I can show them at the end, but for now, let's go with the notes. Official mod support is now available through the Steam Workshop, and official tools for uploading your own decorative buildings is in. That's cool. You can now request resources from visiting merchants at the trading post for a premium rate. I'm going to show this now because that's just how it is. If you need anything all the way down the list now, you can click it, and the merchants are supposed to bring you, or I guess eventually bring you. It's not 100%. It will be at the increased prices. It'll be at high prices. It will never get a deal doing it that way, but you can get stuff that you need badly a lot quicker that way. Chickens and goats have been added to the game. You must construct goat barns and chicken coops and purchase them from the trading post. They are indeed in, and they are fantastic. New soldier types are now available for recruitment: light infantry, heavy infantry, archers, pikemen, and horsemen. They are also fantastic. We'll have to see over time how they do against different raider things. Stables have been added to the game. Stables house horses so that your houses can be defended by horsemen. We are not horsing around. Well, thank you. It's yeah, you need horses for the horses generate meat and tallow and skin as well, but they also will give you 2 more units, lancers and something else I forget. Horsemen and lancers, yeah, that's what it is. Stables have been added. No, that's not it. Additional combat controls have been added. So the 1 to 9 buttons are now quick bindable to different groups. When you're using military units, you can use these buttons here when they're out at a flag to select different types, and then you can control 1, control 2, etc., and then use 1, 2, etc. to move specific groups in ways that you like. Very similar to RTSs like StarCraft, etc. Let's see, where are we at here? With the addition of new combat controls, some of the old keybinds and stuff have been removed. That is true. The ones I've most notably seen are the 1, 2, 3, 4 for the different speed settings are now like a plus and minus to bring it up and down. But they did also add this speed control when you're running at a faster speed. I don't often do so, but I know a lot of people do. It will speed it down to 1 if you get attacked or an animal attacks one of your people. Okay. Let's see. Raiders have been studying your tactics and have recruited horsemen and catapults to bring down your defenses. Yes, this is why you need the horsemen and different units that are apparently rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock in order to destroy their units that are destroying your walls. It should be interesting to see because some of them are much more expensive than they were because there was only the one type really. We'll go over that at the very end when I show the buildings themselves. Let's see here. What else? Soldier management has been overhauled. Soldiers are now organized into companies. Soldiers, in turn, in their companies, gain veterancy based on combat experience. So I've only had one battle with raiders since I've kind of started jamming this stuff in an old city. So they didn't get any veterancy from that. So we'll have to see how that goes over time. I think most of us will. Raid warnings have been updated to trigger much sooner, which is true. It's pretty much when they enter the map now instead of when they become into a visible area. They also added an arrow that points towards the direction the attacks are coming from. It sort of works because it still doesn't really seem to show, at least I've only seen it once. It doesn't seem to show multiple attacks on multiple walls from multiple directions. It just kind of points to where they originally were supposed to be coming from. So we'll have to see if that changes over time. Updated how resource reservations are performed to remove the possibility of production buildings becoming filled up while other villagers are on the way to grab stuff. So pretty much, yeah, if there's already people coming to get it, it will not count as the total that's in the building, which should help with some of the they can't work because it's too full nonsense that was going on. Fixed an issue where town center build site could not be cleared if it was destroyed. Fixed an issue where worker slots could not be interacted with while a trading post was upgrading. Fixed issues with fruit trees not being fruit treed because of trees getting bugged and they wouldn't harvest them. I think you had to cut them down and regrow them for it to reset, but now it's not supposed to happen anymore. Fixed an issue where relocating a building would sometimes display notification the building requires more workers. Fixed an issue where eggs and milk production was not recorded in the annual report. Another issue, reloading the game during a raid would get raiders stuck permanently. That is no longer the case. Fixed an issue where sound settings could become reset back to norm or max. That's not done anymore. And fixed an issue where herders would stock their barns excessively. I'm going to note that last one there with the herders stocking barns has the negative effect of often it will say, right now it's overpopulated because it's slaughter time, but they constantly will have these little arrows over saying not enough food for winter when there's like 10 of the 12 guys is standing around idle. It's weird. It has something to do with what they changed, and hopefully they can look at it. Increased population growth comes at 400 plus villagers. Items can now be disposed of from the resources window when removing them from your settlement completely, which is, let's see, get a thing here, and we select, let's say, tools, which we'll never actually delete, but you just select delete this item, and then how many you want to get rid of, and bango bungo, and I think everyone will agree, now we can finally get rid of these here crude weapons that you would buy them in the beginning if you were in an emergency to have a few weapons, and then you can never get rid of them again. They're just taking up space. That's the first thing I did anyways, was just get rid of those. You can now jump to a building's work area or rally point from a new button on the map. That's most shown by this. When you're looking at your military companies, you can hit a button here and it'll move you to this one, it'll move you to this one, it'll move you to the horse one over here, etc. So that's a little bit helpful when you're doing specific tasks, like in a certain area where all the buildings are around everywhere. Let's see. Camera positions are now stored from 0 to 9. I don't understand that one because that's 1 to 9, I think, is where the control locks for the different groupings of your soldiers and stuff go, so I'm not really sure how that's going to work. Shroud of the Unknown Soldier now increases durability of coats, linen, and clothes and shoes instead of recovering from festering wounds, because, let's be honest, festering wounds was a very low killer if you had any medical system whatsoever set up in your town. So now we can look at this, and it is indeed 20% longer or less wear, whatever, from things that were sometimes wearing out quick, especially in the early game. That can be tough to keep up with. Wagons now assist in storage limit management and resource distribution. I don't know if that means intercity or what, if it's going to pick up stuff from storage in your main city to your little satellite areas if you have any, etc., something like that. At least they are now doing something more than just dying on the road. You can, let's see, where am I? Villagers will now stop pursuing fleeing raiders much sooner, and so they will not go to the edge of the map unless you pretty much tell them to go to the edge of the map. I don't know why my beer is having an issue. It's an old map, so change stuff. Let's see. Wagon drivers now flee from incoming raiders. Well, there we go. So hopefully they get the hell out and don't just die on the road like they usually just continue about their daily business until the raiders will cluster around them in those big balls of like 20 guys trying to kill them, and then they'll just die on the road, and then the raiders come back to the city. Okay, for buildings, they fixed an issue where graveyard construction was a flat $5 or 5 stone, regardless of the size, and now it starts at 10 and goes up to 100 for max size, which is what they intended. Fixed an issue with library desirability, staying at 100%. Now they correctly have a fall-off curve like other desirability buildings, and last but not least, updated barn mechanics to better scale with herders and population. Milk is no longer generated in bulk, but rather throughout the year. That's also fairly nice because you would often have a ridiculous amount of milk in the spring, and then you'd either make it into cheese or it would spoil. Now it's more, you can probably have a less cheese people working, and throughout the year they'll make the same amount, and you won't have as much milk spoilage, I hope. We'll have to see. because, yeah, half my buttons aren't working right now because I've been alt tabbing so much to make this video, but that's fine. So that is the notes themselves. It's not very long, but the impact on the game itself is insane. So first I'll show some of the new animal buildings. Here's the goat barn. It starts off as a 4-man operation, or 4-person operation, sorry, with 10 goats, and you can upgrade it. Chicken coop is not upgradable. It starts and ends as such. 24 chickens. They do make between 250 and 300 eggs a year, I think, and about 120 to 150 meat, which is not bad. Horse barns are new. We have horses, which we are herding. They all of these animals, by the way, also have their own grazing areas. So the horses are big like that. This one here is the chickens. The goats are kind of in the middle, and then there's the cows, which we all know and hate. I'm hoping that the amount of animals they've added will allow us to have less cows, because they're very inefficient, really, honestly, if you know how to work your hunters. Anyways, the horses are also used, besides the food that they will generate, as secondary units in the cavalry stable, which you can make. Horsemen and lancers, they all have their different things. These guys are the ones that are supposed to break through the enemy ranks and like scatter them or some such. I'm not sure. I haven't used them yet, as I don't have horses in play. I have some horses, but not enough. Sure, why not? Bring them in. And these ones are just the fast units that are ready to go around and get rid of archers and catapults, which you're going to need, because catapults apparently are just like two-shot their way right through a triple wall like this. So I haven't seen it myself yet, but it's, yeah. Go to the fort, which has been redesigned. We have 4 types of units now. Pretty much the same thing. You hit the plus, you add in however many of each, up to 24 that you want, and then you have your mix of all the different ones. They all have different kind of loadouts now. So archers have no weapons. The light infantry have the light armor and shield sword. The heavy infantry have the heavy armor, heavy weapon, shield. And the pikemen have just heavy weapon, heavy armor, no shield. But they're supposed to do more damage, so we'll have to see how that goes. I think that's it. One other thing worth noting is when you are adding these horses to the cavalry site, they are living here. They are no longer going to be here, so be careful if you're trying to keep enough numbers so that they're auto-breeding and filling up the barn and producing meat and stuff. You're going to have to trickle them in or have several barns where you add from, and keep them that way. Just dumping them all in will empty a whole barn, and you'll have to buy more before they reproduce or make any meat or skins or anything. Besides that, I think that's about it for the patch. Very cool to see and lots to play around with. Now it's time for me to spend the next 7 hours re-rolling a map so I can try all this out from the start. Have a good one. I hope people find some use for this video, and I will see you next time.